Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Silver Spring. My name is Bruce McConaughey. I'm this morning's worship associate. My pronouns are he, him, and his. Whether you're joining us here in the sanctuary or on Zoom, we welcome you in the fullness of who you are. From a diversity of cultures, sexualities, genders, and beliefs, we come together into one congregation. Here we are always growing, always learning, and always loved. If you are visiting with us for the first or second time, or if you'd like to learn more about our church, please find Jawan Kim, our welcoming captain, at the back of the sanctuary after today's service. People of all ages are always welcome here in the sanctuary. But if you or your very young child would prefer to spend the morning in our nursery, one of our Sunday support volunteers would be happy to show you where that is. Kids elementary age and up will be invited to head to the fellowship house about halfway through today's service for religious exploration. And everyone is welcome to join us downstairs in the breezeway for coffee after today's service. For the last month, we've considered what we as individuals and as a congregation can bring to the table. This morning, we celebrate the many collective gifts we bring to the service of our mission, our vision, and our values. I'm glad to welcome Scott Mitchell, director of the Silver Spring Nursery School, with us this morning. He's right back there in the green, yes. In a bit, he will share with us why the school he serves values their relationship with our congregation. And I'm delighted to welcome Leah Morris, our musician in residence, back to UUCSS. I enjoyed the workshop I participated in yesterday. Thank you again. We truly have so much to celebrate. Now, I invite those on Zoom to greet one another in the chat, while those of us here in person get up and greet our neighbors around the sanctuary. When the music starts, please head back to your seat and join in the singing. The words to all hymns will be on the screens around you. Thank you.
This is a new day. Let us rejoice and be glad to be together. May all that is holy, all that is sacred, all that is most right and good and true be in us and with us as we worship together this morning. My name is Reverend Kristen Schmidt. I am the settled minister of this congregation, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. It is so good to see all of you this morning. One thing that did not make it into the welcome statement this morning, we are going to share our joys and sorrows today by writing them on index cards. There are a bunch in the back that Sunday Support should have shown you while handing out the programs. If you didn't get one, please feel free to go grab one in the next few minutes and write your joy or sorrow on that. But now it's time for us to light our flaming chalice, symbol of our free faith, and reaffirm our congregational commitment.
Please join me in saying the words on the screen. May this light warm our hearts with love and caring, and guide us in the ways of truth. As we gather here for worship, we pledge ourselves to the endless search for truth, to the right of each to believe as mind, heart, and conscience dictate, to accept the responsibilities this freedom commands, and to implement our belief in the essential worth and dignity of every human being.
Let's have another try with our brief chalice lighting song, May This Light Warm Our Hearts. And we'll hear it played once on the piano. Let's see how it goes again.
We've got a wonder box today and a bunch of blocks up here. If anyone young or young at heart would be willing to open up our wonder box. All right, lift the lid. What do y'all see in there? What do you see?
Cockroaches and bugs.
What bugs specifically do you see?
Grasshopper and ants.
Grasshopper and ants. Would you like to help those ants build a house using these blocks while I tell the story? Ants and grasshopper, that's right. Anyone who wants to come forward and build with blocks? Can you all make sure that the youngest folks coming up get some blocks? Thank you. All right, so today's story is one that you may have heard before. It's been told a lot of different ways by a lot of different people with various endings, and today's my version. Now, I don't know that it happened this way, but I do know that it's true. That long ago and far away, or maybe recently and quite nearby, there were some ants who lived next door to a grasshopper. The ants were mostly farmers and builders. In the spring, they planted their crops and started work on their house. All summer, they renovated and made furniture, and they tended their plants and they harvested. A lot of times the work was very hard and very hot and very boring. Sometimes they saw the grasshopper nearby doing something. Was it dancing? Singing? All day long it was doing something, and the ants had no idea what. It wasn't farming or building anyway, so the ants mostly ignored it. Mostly. Now, fall came around, as it always does. The weather started to turn colder. The leaves fell. The ants finished their house. It was so big, more rooms even than they needed. And they stored away the last of their crops, so much food, more than they could eat. And they all collapsed in a pile. Everyone be an ant, a very tired ant, just collapsed from it. Oh, you've been working all summer. It was so hot, so hard, and so boring, and now you're done. What now? Asked one of the builder ants, looking around for something to do, already missing being outside. Now it's winter, and our work is done, said a farmer ant. Not my work, muttered one of the ants in charge of the little baby ants. Are you going to help me now that the planting and harvesting is done? Before the farmer ant could reply or a fight could start, a knock came at their door. Who do you think it was? That's right, it was the grasshopper. I beg your pardon, said the grasshopper, but I was wondering, oh my gosh, come inside, said the builder ant. It's cold out there. Have something to eat, said the farmer ant. We've got way too much. Oh, said the grasshopper, thanks. But I was wondering if I could share some of my work with you. All summer, you see, oh, nice. There's some beautiful houses up here, y'all. I wish you could see them. All summer, said the grasshopper, I've been practicing my dancing with the trees so that after the leaves are gone, I could bring their dance inside. The builder ant sighed. She already missed the trees' dancing leaves. And I've been practicing my singing, said the grasshopper, so that I can bring the beauty of the babbling summer brook inside. The ant in charge of the little baby ants sighed, thinking about how much he already missed taking the baby ants out to see the creek when they got fussy. And I was thinking, said the grasshopper, maybe I could sing and dance for you and teach you singing and dancing to get us through this long winter, offered the grasshopper. Oh my gosh, yes, please, said the ants. And when spring came, they found it was so much more fun and somehow easier to do all of their planting and building and tending when they had songs and dances to make the work go faster. And they looked up to watch the grasshopper doing his work, practicing singing and dancing, making new songs and dances, and the ants smiled, looking forward for the first time to the winter. They wondered who else they could bring in, that they could welcome in this year, and what new gifts those people might bring. Dear ones, all of us have gifts to share, and no matter what our gifts are, we can use them to serve our values in the world. So kiddos, I'm going to invite you to leave these beautiful buildings here and go back and sit with your responsible grown-ups. And as the children return to their seats, I invite everyone who has written a joy or sorrow on an index card to pass them towards the aisle, and I'm going to collect all of those.
Bless you and good morning, everyone. I'd like to invite you to sing this song with me. It comes from a scripture, I believe in the book of Joshua, in which we, as a community, get to decide for what we want to stand. So we're going to be standing for peace and truth and love, not in the future, right now. As for me and my house, you will find us serving truth. As for me and my house, you will find us serving truth. As for me and my house, you will find us serving truth, truth for all right now. As for me and my house, love, find us serving love. As for me and my house, you will find us serving love. As for me and my house, you will find us serving love, love. joy. As for me and my house, you will find us serving joy. As for me and my house, you will find us serving joy. As for me and my house, you will find us serving joy, joy for all right now. And let's serve up grace. As for me and my house, you will find us serving grace. As for me and my house, you will find us serving grace. As for me and my house, you will find us serving grace, grace for all right now. And let's sing for peace. As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace. As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace. As for me and my house, you will find us serving peace, peace for all right now.
Over the last month, the annual Budget Drive Committee has invited everyone who calls this church their own to make a financial pledge to support our work in people's lives. We have shared meals and parties together. We even had a cupcake competition to help everyone consider what each of us could bring to the table. And every single year, I am blown away by this community's generosity, and this year is no different. At this time, I'd like to invite Deborah Weiner forward to give us our final annual budget drive update. Won't you please join me in thanking the whole committee for their hard work as Deb makes her way to the pulpit. For anyone who doesn't know.
Good morning. Yes, I'm Deb Weiner, and I am on the ABD committee this year, and I want to just call out the other members of this wonderful committee. Pat Scheid has been our chair and our leader in this, along with Jamie Jorgensen, Teresa Meek, Margot Kelly, and me. I think that's it. I hope I didn't forget anybody. But, so good morning from all of us. It's a great day for a celebration, and I am very happy and honored to say thank you on behalf of the ABD committee for your generous pledges to this year's annual budget drive. You definitely brought it to the table. As of this morning, we can report a wonderful total of $409,249 that has been pledged by 130 households. This number comprises 96% of the final goal of $425,000. We are so close. We are so close. We thank you very, very, very much for your thoughtful pledges, and for those who were able to increase their pledge from last year, we are additionally grateful. For anyone who has still not pledged, please promptly answer the call from whomever contacts you for a pledge this coming week. And I hope we can then really close up this circle and move on. But for right now, we celebrate each other. We thank each other for sustaining this wonderful congregation, its campus and buildings, our staff, and our larger community. Thank you.
I invite you now into a time of shared prayer, lifting up our joys and our sorrows. Spirit of life, we give thanks this morning for all of life's abundant gifts. We give thanks for crocuses and snowdrops, for hyacinth and daffodils, messengers of the spring season on its way. I give thanks for this congregation, this collective of kind and generous people committed to building the beloved community. We pray for those who must depend on air-dropped aid to survive, who must risk their lives to find enough food for their children. We pray for our elected and appointed officials to find the courage to defend civilians, protect democracy, and fight oppression, even if it means doing what is politically unpopular. And we pray for ourselves, for courage and energy to pressure our leaders to stop funding violence and injustice in our names. Breath of life, spirit of love, in times like these when it feels like things are falling apart, that the world is ending, remind us that it is out of death and decay that new life, new beginnings, new possibilities spring up. Remind us that no matter how things may appear today, eventually all tyrants will fall. Love is stronger than hate, and a new season is always waiting just on the other side of whatever one we are in. Remind us that there is a power at work in, with, and among us that is always creating and changing, striving and becoming, ending and beginning, always beckoning us and all that is into a way of being that is more beautiful and free, more generous and just. In the name of all that is good and right and true. Amen. Let us now prepare for a moment of quiet for personal meditation, reflection, or prayer. If you've suffered a deep loss in the last year, you may stand or raise your hand during the silence, if you wish, to honor your grief. Centering down into our breath, let us enter into a time of quiet together, grateful for the sounds of life, y'all, all around us. Somewhere there is more love. Somewhere I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. So children and youth of all ages are always welcome here in the sanctuary, but most Sundays we welcome them to join us, the children in the fellowship house, and now the youth downstairs, to join trained and background-checked staff and volunteers for religious exploration. If you are a kid and you would like to go to the fellowship house, or a youth who would like to go downstairs with Sarah and Reverend Caitlin, please follow them as the congregation sings you on your way. Our time together is sacred, but now it's time to part. Oh, will we speak together? You're always right here in my UUCSS has so many gifts to celebrate. Our religious education ministry for all ages is growing again. Renovations on our community building have moved from dream to very visible reality. Our music ministry continues to deepen our spiritual life in ways that words alone just can't. And of course, we have your generous financial gifts to celebrate today. But I wanted to make sure we also celebrate the connections this congregation has with other organizations. One such organization is the Silver Spring Nursery School, which has rented classroom space on our campus for decades. It's my pleasure to welcome the school's director, Scott Mitchell, forward to share a bit about why SSNS continues to choose our church as the location for its school. Won't you join me in welcoming Scott forward?
I see the step, and I've got to figure out my right distance from the microphone. Does that sound about right? Thank you for having me here today, Reverend Kristen. It's an honor. It's a joy to share space with the UUCSS. When you asked me here today, I started off on a little journey trying to find out some information. I wanted to know a little bit more about how we found each other. And as is often the case, I start off on a journey looking for one thing and I find something else. And it's interesting to me that, this piece is called Connection. So I spoke with the previous director, Janice, and I'd always heard this story about how some people from the church and the school were integrated and knew each other, and we gave some money to help with a building, and that kind of started how we were here. So Janice talked to Pam Carpenter, who was a former aide here, and that led to a conversation with Becky Hadeen, who is a church member and associated with the school also. And then that led to a name that kind of took me by surprise, John Barker. And I was like, and then the story went, John Barker, who just moved into Riderwood and used to keep papers and have records of everything. And I just had dinner with John and Noni's daughter, Lauren, about a year prior as she was coming up and helping move her parents into Riderwood and deal with all those papers and boxes and everything. So here I come upon a connection to the community that I didn't even know that I had. And to me, that was a joy of that journey. So then I looked up community. I wanted to kind of square myself in what community meant. And I found two definitions that rang for me, a group with a shared space or characteristic and a feeling of fellowship. And while the church has a very specifically worded mission statement and the nursery school has a very specifically worded mission statement, I think I find a commonality in that both communities are trying to be the best people that we can be. As a preschool teacher, I'm modeling behavior for our youngest all the time. And I'm imperfect, to say the least. But it gives me an inspiration to try to be the best person that I can be. And I see what you all are trying to do to be the best for each other, for the community, for the world, really expanding out of that. So I feel a connection in our community. And I'll tell two quick little stories about what the community means to me and how my connection and appreciation for your community grew. When COVID hit, it changed, so much of what we had come to take for granted, perhaps, and how things were done. And it would have been very easy for the church to err on the side of safety and say, we need to just shut things down. Sorry, SSNS, it's things are too unsure, too risky. We need you to figure out something else. You didn't do that. You looked at us and said, we trust you. We know you're doing the best that you can for your families and your community, and let's continue to let you do that here. And for the year that you all weren't meeting here, I was having school outdoors every day. You basically gave us run of the campus to experiment with 100% outdoor school, and our 3 classes did 100% outdoor school. That's why those stumps are in the back of your parking lot, because that became a gather area for us. And those cones, I actually found in that expansion into the outdoors that there were things that I wasn't doing before that I wanted to do now that we're back to whatever the sense of normalcy is. So I appreciate your allowing us to do that. And now I've been with Silver Spring Nursery School for about 15 years, and for a long time, you all were known to me as the church. That's what it was, the church. And now that I've grown into this new role as director and been teacher here for a long time, I don't think of you as the church anymore. I think of you as Reverend Kristen, and I think of Linda Barrett, who all things outdoors, she's fantastic, and she's a friend of mine and a resource for me, and we work together on things. And Jim Street, all things indoors. We need locks. We need a new floor because the floor flooded and we had to move. So I see some of you out there today who were here when we needed to move our classrooms from this building to that building and then back from that building to here and shuffling things around. I see John, who's charged with these fire systems and all the bureaucracy that goes with that. And John works really hard to make sure that our school has the least impact from what's going on. Fred and Eric with the work that's going on next door. I've been invited to so many meetings because they want to make sure that my school's operations are affected as least as possible. Jeanette, whenever I need something, if we need a reservation in the church, Jeanette is so quick to respond and takes care of me. Sarah and Caitlin with the youth programs. They're sometimes using our space. We're sometimes infringing on their space, but we work together. And Sarah is a former parent of our school. Eric from the property committee, former parent at our school. Then we get to Catherine when we've had some hiccups along the way. Catherine and I in frequent, wonderful communication. And Catherine, another parent of our school and former president even. And then I saw Tamara out there working hard to keep the church's finances in line and also working to make it a place that the school can continue to be and to not have our bottom line affected too much. Audrey in the back, who's helped me time and time again relearn the AV equipment, because as many pictures as I take and notes that I make, I still forget. So that's who the church is to me now, and I hope to put more names with connections with you all here. So again, it's an honor to be here today, and my school loves being a part of your community, and we benefit so much from this wonderful campus that you have. Thank you.
Thank you.
This song will become familiar to you very quickly, and you'll think, I know this song. And when you have that feeling, please sing with us. Love, would you guide my feet? Love, would you light my path? Love, lead the way. Love, would you fill my needs? Love, would you do the math? Love, lead the way. 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 And I will walk. And I will walk with trust today. With trust today. In all I do. In all I do. In all I say. I will follow. Love, lead the way. When I don't know what I'm doing, when nothing feels okay, love, lead the way. When everything feels broken and I'm holding fear at bay, love, lead the way. Lead the way. You want to try it? Lead the way. Lead the way. Lead the way. And I will walk. I will walk with trust today. With trust today. In all I do. In all I do. In all I say. In all I say. I will follow. Love, lead the way. Love will lead the way.
I just want to give a shout out to Leah for providing such awesome music for us today. I also want to point out the really cool guitar pick earrings that I'm wearing that she made that you can buy in the back of the church later today. I'm just saying, don't make her schlep all that stuff back to Germany. Okay. So 14 years ago this July, I went to the DC Marriage Bureau to get a license so that Christian and I could get married. The District of Columbia had passed marriage equality months before in March of 2010, but it wasn't until July that the Court of Appeals upheld that decision. And the joy among the couples who finally trusted their marriages wouldn't be invalidated was infectious. I'm pretty sure I was the only woman in line that day planning to marry a man, and I have never experienced such happiness and elation in any other government building again since. And just a couple years later, UUCSS played a leading role in getting marriage equality passed here in the state of Maryland, which I would have loved to have officially gotten married at my home church of Cedar Lane in Maryland, but we had not passed marriage equality in 2010 yet, so I wrote an angry letter to the governor. Anyway, but this marriage equality is just one example of how this congregation has used its gifts for a larger purpose. And it's something I know many of our longtime members are very, very proud of. There's a long history of religious communities working for freedom. In 1963, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wrote a letter while imprisoned in Birmingham, Alabama for civil disobedience. Almost the entirety of his letter is still deeply relevant, but one passage in particular strikes me as poignant today. There was a time, Dr. King wrote, when the church was very powerful. In those days, the church was not merely a thermometer that recorded the ideas and principles of popular opinion. It was the thermostat that transformed the mores of society. Wherever the early Christians entered a town, the power structure got disturbed and immediately sought to convict them for being disturbers of the peace and outside agitators. They were small in number, but big in commitment. They brought an end to such ancient evils as infanticide and gladiatorial contest. Things are different now. The contemporary church is so often a weak, ineffectual voice with an uncertain sound. It is so often the arch supporter of the status quo. Far from being disturbed by the presence of the church, the power structure of the average community is consoled by the church's often vocal sanction of things as they are. But the judgment of God is upon the church as never before, he wrote. If the church of today does not recapture the sacrificial spirit of the early church, it will lose its authentic ring, forfeit the loyalty of millions, and be dismissed as an irrelevant social club with no meaning for the present century. I hope the church as a whole will meet the challenge of this decisive hour. Now, the world was at a decisive hour when I first began serving here 3.5 years ago. In the summer of 2020, nearly everything was locked down. We could only meet online or outside, and the future of all congregations was unclear. We lost friends and loved ones to COVID. We worried how we would ever rebuild our community after everyone got out of the habit of coming to church. But UUCSS kept on keeping on. We worshiped and met and even did our auction online. The Racial Justice Task Force helped us learn about the 8th principle, and our congregation voted to adopt it. We sponsored a family forced to flee Afghanistan. And as many churches had to shrink their ministries, lay off staff, and even close altogether, our congregation raised $1 million last year in a capital campaign, and the long-anticipated renovations on our community building finally began. We have faced our share of challenges and setbacks, and yet this congregation has grown in strength and health. Our music ministry is thriving, our RE program is growing, our staff team is strong and talented, and we enjoy working together. The sanctuary that 2 years ago felt kind of cavernous to me is now nearly almost full on Sunday mornings with visitors and longtime members alike. 6 new members joined our church last Sunday. People, 9? 9? Holy smokes, I love being corrected. That's great. People ask me all the time if I want this congregation to grow, what my vision is for UUCSS. Of course, I want UUCSS to offer a warm welcome to all in search of a liberal faith home. I believe in the mission of this congregation, so of course I want us to grow. But the number of people who sign our membership book is less of a focus for me than the ways that we could expand our impact. My vision for UUCSS is what Dr. King wrote about in his letter. Because 61 years after he wrote it, we find ourselves at another decisive hour. The challenges we face today are many: rising authoritarianism, threats to democracy, the deterioration of education and healthcare systems, increasing warfare. The list goes on. I believe these things will shape UUCSS just as profoundly as the pandemic has. But I also believe that the way through is by leaning in, engaging more deeply, and trusting that our community will rise to any challenge we face as long as we stay focused on our mission. My vision for UUCSS is of a congregation focused as much on our engagement with the wider community as we are on serving the people whose names grace our membership book. My vision is of a collective of members and friends and community partners reshaping our communities so they are more just, more equitable, more free for everyone. My vision is of a congregation using all of our many gifts to be a thermostat and turn up the heat on our elected officials. And one of our most underutilized gifts in doing this work, I think, is our physical plant. This campus is an incredible gift we were given by previous generations, but it is going to take more money than our generous congregation can pledge each year to maintain it. That is not a failing on our part, my friends. It is just math. It's the impact of the changing economy has had on households in a country that consistently values helping the ultra-rich get richer, while everyone else must make do, while rent and groceries, medical care, and education all keep getting more expensive. We are feeling it now at the congregational level. But like so many things, our biggest challenge just might prove to be our biggest opportunity. We heard from Scott about how our campus has helped Silver Spring Nursery School serve thousands of children and families over the last 58 years that they have been here on our campus. UUCSS could fund the maintenance of our campus while extending our impact by renting to other organizations too, whose missions echo our own. There is even public money available to religious communities interested in building affordable housing on their land. I wonder what possibilities that holds for UUCSS. I wonder what other nonprofits we could partner with, share the expenses and benefits of our campus with, so we can use our precious energy to leverage our power and grow in deeper relationship with our community. The love and the hospitality, the generosity and commitment of this congregation all continue to make me so proud to be your minister. There is no other congregation I want to be in. I am glad to serve a congregation with a track record of working for justice and mutual liberation. The work on the community building continues, but goodness willing, in a few months, it will be complete. And we will need to begin considering how we can maintain this campus while also funding ministry that changes people's lives. We have reached 96% of our pledge goal, with 18 households left to pledge, just saying. So in general, the congregation has done its job. You have pledged very generously. I am so thankful. The board is thankful. The ABD committee is so thankful. Now we must consider, how will we steward the rest of our collective gifts and assets? What will we bring to the wider table of our community? How will we turn up the heat for mutual liberation? As the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker has said, we must answer this question: what will we do with our gifts? My hope, my prayer, is that UUCSS will choose to use all of our many gifts to bless the world.
It is often said that the offering is a sacrament of the free church. What that means is that our generosity is a necessary part of our sacred mission. There are lots of ways to make your offering to UUCSS and help this congregation to serve our mission and to live into our vision. If you are here in person, you can also place your offering in one of the offering plates as it's passed around in just a moment. Now, please join me in dedicating our offering to the mission of this congregation, which is to create joyful spiritual community where we connect deeply, serve, and mobilize for our collective liberation. The offering will now be gratefully given and received.
There is always a light when we are ready to see it. There is always a light when we are ready to be it. To see the light, to be the light, to raise our arms in the dark of night, to climb this hill. Together we will.
There is always light.
There is always a light.
There is always light.
We are ready to see it.
There is always light.
There is always a light.
There is always light.
We are ready to be it.
To see the light, to be the light,
To raise our eyes in the dark of night, to climb this hill.
this
Together we will.
There is always
There
light.
is always a light.
There is always light.
We are ready to see it.
There is always
There is
light.
always a light.
There is always light.
We are ready to be it.
To see the light, to be the light, to
Raise our eyes in the dark of night, to climb this hill. Together we will.
There is always light. There is always light. There is always light. There is always light. To see the light,
Let your
to be the light, to shine.
and be the
There is always light. There is always light. There is always light. There is always light. To see the light, to be the light, to shine. There is always light.
And here comes Florence to give our announcements.
Good morning. My name is Florence Foltz, and I am a member of the board. My pronouns are she, her. Sunday mornings are just one small part of who we are and what we do as a congregation. We are a vibrant collective of lay volunteers, leaders, and paid staff. We are growing relationships with our neighbors here in Silver Spring. We are a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association, and we are one small part of the global UU faith movement. I hope everyone will look over the ways to connect, highlighted in the printed program the Sunday support team handed out on your way in. We also have 5 announcements to share this morning. Life can get busy and it can be hard to find time and space for rest. So we hope you will join Reverend Caitlin and others for a deep rest spiritual practices retreat next Saturday, March 9th from 10 to 3. Please see your program for information on how to sign up, and please sign up by the end of the day on Wednesday, March 6th. Last Sunday, we heard about how UUCSS could be part of a statewide campaign for climate justice, housing equity, and tenants' rights by partnering with Action in Montgomery. If you'd like more information or to join the team exploring how UUCSS could partner with AIM, please speak with Bob Geiger or send an email to aim@uucss.groups.io. Registration for the Women's Retreat is now open. The retreat is Friday, April 26th through Sunday, April 28th at the Claggett Center near Frederick. There are 2 info sessions for anyone with questions. The first is Wednesday, March 6th at 7:30 p.m. on Zoom. The next is in person, next Sunday, March 10th after the service. Check out the Uniter All Church email or Facebook for the link to register. This retreat is for cis and trans women as well as non-binary people who are comfortable in a space that centers the experience of women. And we have 2 more things. As you leave your seat this morning, please reach into the chair rack in front of you and place them on the cart at the back of the sanctuary. Also, if you are willing and able to stay in the sanctuary after today's service has ended, we could use some help rearranging the chairs for next Sunday's service in the round. Thank you.
Thank you. Please join me in the words of our Chalice Extinguishing. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.
All right, let's rise, embody your spirit, and sing our closing song, Life Calls Us On.
Just here in reverence now we gather for the blessings we have known, with a pledge to one another that we journey not alone. Joy and sorrow make us one, kin to all that lives and dies. Love calls us on. Love calls us on. Words and deeds of lend our voices in. Back one slide, please. Courage bids us lift our eyes to the shining skies. Hope calls us on. Hope calls
Life calls us on, and as Rebecca Parker reminds us, our gifts, whatever we discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. This congregation is so rich with all different kinds of gifts. May we choose to use our gifts to bless the world, and may we in turn be blessed as we seek to be a blessing. Our worship is now over, and our service begins.